I think we live. What's going on, Couples 412? It is another time, another session here in the home of your living room, your car, your phone, whatever you call your online comfort zone. This is the place where we come to hook up. I'm Kevin, Impeccable Peck. Hanging out with me is my wonderful wife, Dana.
Hello.
And our love guru, Mr. Mr. Caravans himself. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing awesome, man. How you all doing?
Man, we letting technology expand how we interact with each other, and learning just more and more how to get better at this game, man.
I love it.
Get better at this game and moving on to intimacy. We're waiting on the Parkers to join us. I'm sure, being business owners, that they sometimes get caught up in different things, but we like to move forward at least once a month. Well, actually twice a month. Once live. It's the second Tuesday at Oasis Atlanta. If you're in the Atlanta area or visiting Atlanta, come check us out. It's Oasis Atlanta. It's on the second Tuesday at 7 o'clock every month. It's like you fill your tank up. And then if it's getting low towards the end of the month, we're going to have our online session, Couples 412 live online, and we're going to fill it up again. But intimacy, sometimes you think about intimacy and it's more than just the sexual act, and it's more than, and we learned a lot from our brother Caravans on the second Tuesday of the month when we were live, and we all had to just think about some things. Obviously, I kept thinking about something else the whole time, but that's how I do. But
and the notes for that session is on our website, Couples 412, under resources. So if you log in and register on the website, you can have access to those notes. But you won't have access to the session, so you got to be there to hear.
Right, because it's a closed thing. Couples, when we live, it's like a safe place. It's a place where we can come. You think that your situation is unique and you're on an island by yourself, and you will come to Couples 412, and you will find out that we've either gone through it, going through it, or we know somebody who has gone through it, and we have a solution, or at least we can put you in the right way. We're not therapists, we're not marriage counselors, and we don't even play one on TV. But we do make nice suggestions, and we just try to hook up and make marriage cool again.
Right. But we do have those resources online, couples412.com, for people who do want to access those therapists, and counselors.
Right, because some people don't like to go to therapy, especially African Americans that I know. They're like, look, I'm not going to therapy. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna figure it out. Some of us that get smart enough, they'll learn that sometimes having somebody else.
But this is a fun therapy. You know what I mean? Just talking about it, like you said, other people are in the same boat or used to be in the same situation, so it's been really helpful.
Okay, so since the second Tuesday, you've been telling me you had something that you wanted to share on the fourth Tuesday. So I didn't even want to see what it was that she had to share. I wanted to be surprised. So if you just tuned in, this is Couples 412 Live. I'm Kevin Impeccable Peck. This is my wife, Dana, and also one of our life coaches for couples, Mr. Caravans Ross, is on the line as well.
Yes, and Q will be joining in shortly. He just texted us. He'll be joining any moment. But some of the resources that we both have used is focus on the family, and that's what is it, James Dobson's organization. It's a Christian global ministry that helps families, and they have a division just for married people. So we've been getting we get articles on a regular basis about it. And I was reading one, and it says, the title is, does yada 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 in your marriage mean it's blah blah blah? You ever heard that, yada yada yada?
I like that.
Have you heard that?
Does yada 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 mean? Is it like an equal sign in math? Blah blah blah.
Like if you heard someone say, like they're telling a story, they're like, and yada yada yada.
Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
Right.
Okay.
But the Hebrew word for yada doesn't mean blah blah blah.
No, not at all.
No, it means to know. Right. And you ever hear, like in Genesis, he knew her, and she, it says he knew her.
So you know what that means.
Yeah.
For all you Bible scholars out there, we're talking about intimacy this month on Couples for 12. Whenever they said he knew her, that means they were getting busy. In a special way. Welcome, Q. How you doing?
What up? What up?
Hey, Charlinda, to the conversation. How's your day going?
So far, so good.
Cool.
Dana has just been wanting to share with me ever since the second Tuesday, and we're beginning to share. Does yada 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 mean blah blah blah?
Right.
And her and Cavance said it does not mean blah blah blah, and she was just saying
It means to know. Like in Genesis when they say he knew her. So it doesn't mean blah blah blah. So in this article by Greg Smalley, he's giving 3 different ways that yada is used throughout scriptures. So the one way is to know your spouse. In 1 Peter 3:7, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. So what do you think that means?
likewise. Is this what book are we looking at?
1 Peter 3:7.
Live with your wives in an understanding way.
Yes.
Well, I think it means that you have to step outside of yourself sometimes and just take time to pay attention to how God created her and how she operates, and to understand the way that she was made.
Yes. Good answer.
Was that right?
Yes. It's
Ding, ding, ding.
what do I like? What don't I like? You need to know me. Okay.
Not like
No,
Genesis.
no.
Not like the book.
You do need to know me.
Oh, I know you.
Okay, that was number 1. One of the 3 different ways yada is used in the scripture. Number 2 is be known by your spouse. So that might be a little bit, that's a little bit more difficult for me, because that means you have to be really vulnerable with your spouse and open up about different things. I know you have no problem about being open. So, because that could be intimidating for some people. So you need to know your spouse, and then you have to be vulnerable enough for them to know you.
Was this something we heard in our live session at Atlanta Oasis when they said, unless you can fart around your girl or something like that? Who brought that up? Was that you, Cavance?
Say that again.
About, we were talking about being vulnerable and being open with each other. I said, well, were we talking about, you're not gonna move forward unless you can fart around your girl?
Yes, that was me. Yes. I wanted to make sure I took credit for what I said.
Right, you're not getting up in the middle of the night running into the bathroom. No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. And the 3rd way is be sexual with your spouse. An equally important part of yada is the act of sex. And God gave us sex as a gift in this covenant, right? And the scripture they use for this is Song of Solomon 1:2. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine.
Not that I like wine that much, bro. That's why I guess it's more delightful, brother. More delightful than wine.
And then his advice to young wives: win your husband's body to win his heart. And then for the opposite, he says, win your wife's heart to win her body.
That's an interesting perspective. What you think about that, Q?
No, that's very interesting.
Win your wife's heart to win her body.
Yeah, if you to her your heart, the woman's heart is so good. And you treat the heart opens the gates for everything else. So yeah, I totally understand that.
All right.
The parting words in this article was, God's idea of yada in marriage is for you to know your spouse completely, for you to be deeply known by your spouse, and for both of you to enjoy each other sexually. So guard that part of your relationship, protect it so it doesn't turn into blah, blah, blah.
Right, because they're not congruent if you go to geometry, which I did not like at all, but yada, yada, yada. So we learned it's not equal blah, blah, blah. But if you're not known, if you don't know, and you cut the sex off, then it will be
blah,
blah, blah, blah. If you just tuned in live, this is Couples 412. We are discussing or continue the discussion of intimacy which we started live in the beginning of the month at Atlanta Oasis, and now we continue it online. And just like to check in with couples, see how your week's going, see just, sometimes you need a weekly tune-up, a daily tune-up, just to see how everything is going, because, something be busy. I don't even like to give them no airtime, so I'm not even going to say it, but, they do their job. We got to do our job, especially as a household. Any words from the Parkers? This what's on your hearts and minds tonight?
There she come. Come on back in.
Sorry, y'all.
You want to give the moment?
You started off. God, it's been a long week for us, a long day. Q and I, we have Panay and Remy is our partners in prayer right now. We decided to do a 21-day fast, and I'm gonna tell you, I've been going to sleep like at 1 or 2 in the morning. Got to get up at 5. It's 5:30. The alarm clock goes off, and we pray. And sometimes I'm the type of person have his alarm set every 30 minutes. So prayer, like first alarm, second alarm, third alarm. We've been on here praying for an hour, an hour and a half, which is so amazing. So it's been starting our week off. Y'all know we've had some challenges and just trying to get over the hump of it. And we just trying something new in our marriage, as far as we pray every day, but when we have other people holding us accountable for what we're praying for, and then they're praying for us. Okay. So it's new for me, I should say. I know Q does the morning prayer every Monday, but this we have. So let me tell you the funny thing. When Saturday came, Q said, "So do we do it on Saturdays too?" I get up at 5, but we still got another week or so to go. It's a 21-day fast and praying. So we fast and like I said, we just been having long days, and we're revamping some things with the organizations, Sisters United and Brothers United right now. And I just want to say about intimacy, our body, each person, we crave intimacy. Yeah. And it could be something just as simple as I know Q, TMI, always tell me a part of my body, like this right here is the little hip part. I can't show y'all.
Don't show us.
But he was like, I like this part right here. And I just look over at my little hip and I said, really? But that's what works for him, But I just know our body crave it, and whatever way you can get it. It's not always just sexual and having the sex part of it. It's just like you guys are holding hands and just the Google eyes looking at each other. So look, he's so funny. Google eyes, that's what you just did, Dana. Yeah. So you want to say something before I talk up the time?
No, you're good. I like to hear you talk. I like to support you. So everything, I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna say if you say that off this camera. Not that anything I say go?
No, okay. You good. We good. This is our intentional time that we get, as couples and hang out. I mean, any time we push forward, we said whether it's just us or it's 1 million people watching, we're gonna be here to connect with couples all over the world. And the reason we do it online is because everybody doesn't live in Atlanta. Everybody can't get to us on Tuesday nights, and it's refreshing just to see you guys. Cavance, Pastor Stephen Thurston. I mean, I look forward to this time and don't take it lightly that we even have, choose to spend out one of our hours of the 24 hours we have in a day working on our relationship. So preach on, sister.
Can you want to say something about your eating habits? I know we talking about intimacy, but you can change us all over here. We eat grass and making our own milk, and it's like it's work after you get off of work because you're trying to figure out what you eat.
Right.
It's been so much fun though, because just figuring out different foods, and that's another level of discipline and structure. And one of the things that we are working towards in our home and in our marriage and family is just overall structure and organization. and understanding that our bodies are temples, and that means physically taking care of it, but internally as well. So we're just educating ourselves on just what this lifestyle, this plant-based lifestyle, is all about, and it's challenging us, it's pushing us, and it's really, in the season that we're in, it's another example or another exercise of discipline, which is something that I totally embrace, and I love the fact that I was able to initiate something, and then my wife and my son, they kind of follow suit. So now that it's a family adjustment, and it's a family lifestyle, and I can't really say I've missed it in me. I haven't missed it. I haven't missed it. I mean, I've just gotten accustomed to just eating this way. So, again,
give us 1 minute on what this new plant-based eating lifestyle is.
It's basically just eating what comes from the earth, and trying to intake it as close to its natural form as possible. Not intaking meat, dairy, nor eggs.
And he makes his own milk every morning. The milk, it consists of walnuts.
This is nut milk, so any kind of nuts, agave, water,
ice, and he blends it up in it's milk. Now I have to go into that extreme, but it's really good. I have to. He makes avocado
pudding
with agave and bananas and walnuts and a pudding, which is delicious. I promise you, you can freeze it and it's like a sorbet, like an ice cream or something. It's really good. So I was just like you, Dana, making the faces, and we eat a lot of mushrooms for our protein, for like meat. So we had portobello mushroom tacos.
Are y'all making a total change, or is this just doing the fast?
No, total change.
Total.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, and this may hurt his heart a little bit. I may do a little seafood maybe once a month because I love seafood. I love,
Okay, man. That's fine.
So I love seafood. So I mean, shrimp and a little fish here and there, maybe once a month. I would, just so I can just have that taste and be done. But I haven't missed chicken or beef or anything at all.
All right. Well, that's what a little plant-based lifestyle is. If you just tuned in, thank you, Parker. This is Couples 412. We're talking about intimacy, getting closer, getting to know, getting some understanding, and knowing each other more sexually, except for a time of fasting and praying, like Brother Cavan said in 1 Corinthians 7 during our live session. He explained Paul's position on that too. I don't know if you've ever read it, but 1 Corinthians chapter 7 talks a lot about your body is not your own, it's your wife. Her body is not hers, it's yours. And the only time you should be getting to know is doing fasting and praying, and then you need to come back together quickly so you can stay strong to fight off all of that other stuff that be out there fighting. Again, we meet once live at Oasis Atlanta. We finally, guys, we have our home settled. Turns out the Parkers have joined Oasis and the Pecks. And we are thankful that they have allowed us to come in with Couples 412 and just begin to connect with couples, not only in that particular community, but in the community at large in the Atlanta area. So without further ado, we always like to have some real teaching because, I just like to ramble on about something. I got a little semblance of intimacy, but I come here to learn and to get my knowledge base built up so that I can be more successful in my marriage. So, Brother Cavance, always a pleasure to have you join us online and in person, and always look forward to what you have to say, brother. Welcome.
Hey man, thank you. So excited. This lesson is one that I think carries over in any relationship in life. Marlon Wayans has a new movie on Netflix. It's called Naked. And it is a 21st century remake of Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know.
Is it a movie or is it a series?
It's a movie, actually.
It's a movie. Okay, yeah, I heard about that.
and he's actually naked throughout the entire series. The funny thing about it is he decided he's going to get married. And in his attempt to overcome his fear in his past, he finds himself going through the motions of getting ready for his big day. And the closer he gets to it, the fears of his past force him to continually replay the moments leading up to it to get it right. The challenge is he's in front of his big day, but the problems of yesterday force him to the point where the future is always replayed by the past. He's always perpetually habilitating and handicapping himself from his promise because he's trying to perfect his past.
Say what?
And it's so interesting that in so many of our lives, we've been talking about intimacy. We are finding ourselves in positions where our past is always present. We're going back to the past as opposed to the popular Michael J. Fox movie, Going Back to the Future. Finding ourselves always perpetually doing the things and bringing into our lives things that occurred in yesterday and never operating in today and moving towards the future. And this session, which you can find online, has an amazing quote by Daniel Siegel, and it says, "When unresolved issues are writing our life story, we are not our own autobiographers. We are merely recorders of how the past continues, often without awareness, to intrude upon our present experience and shape our future directions." I think that's important. We're not even writing our own autobiography when we're dealing with unresolved issues in our own life story. What we're simply doing is becoming tape recorders on how the past, without our awareness, intrudes upon our present experiences and shapes our future direction. It is interesting that God gives us the opportunity to write our own story. He gives us free will as free moral agents to make the next step to our future. But many of us allow yesterday to allow us to put our pen and our quill down and pick up a tape recorder and only stand on the sideline, never moving towards everything God has for us. And in today's session, I want to help us point out some tips, some insights, and some tidbits to keep us from having our naked moment that inhibits our marriage to our future, and now be naked enough with ourselves that we forgive ourselves of yesterday and learn how to live in today and move towards tomorrow. When you get to the first line of this outline, you'll see a very, very major statement. A poignant point about humans is our propensity to replay the past, especially when it includes emotional pain or disappointment. Again, a poignant point about humans is our propensity to replay the past, especially when it includes emotional pain or disappointment. This is something we've got to understand how to deal with as couples, but more importantly, we've got to learn how to deal with it as individuals. We have the human propensity to always replay our hurts and our pains that happen in our emotions from yesterday, and we don't have the ability, without help and clarity, to stop playing over our pain and move towards our place of purpose and joy. It's interesting that we always, from a Christian standpoint, say, "God, forgive me of my sins." You ask God to forgive you, whether you pray regularly, if you pray monthly, if you pray weekly, and you find that God is faithful and just to forgive you. The challenge with Christianity is God often forgives us, but we've crucified ourselves by never forgiving ourselves. And we've got to get to the point that many of us are contaminating our relationships, our potential, and our future by always replaying things that happened so long ago that we don't even remember the details of it. We've just replayed the pain and emotional hurt. Next, though most of us want to move on from our past, we tend to go through our lives simply casting new people in the roles of key people with whom there's unfinished business. this is so big. We are shooting a movie in our lives, and instead of moving forward and casting new actors into our roles and new actors into our movies that could get us an Academy Award, that could make us millions at the box office, that could impact lives, we simply keep playing reruns on the big screen and putting a different person's head on somebody else's body and causing them to replay and relive our pain. How crazy is it when God gives us new opportunities, new blessings, new people, new direction, and we will never cast them in our movie of purpose and greatness simply because we want to keep pulling people who are not effective, who are B-list, who are C-list, who are people that should not even be in our show. And we're giving them access to our Academy Award winning option. And allowing our opportunities for greatness to be minimized by our pain of our past. So thirdly, the enduring impression made upon us by significant relationships sets us up as a template that we apply others throughout life. What does that mean? Whatever impression, positive or negative, that we've had with significant relationships in our past creates a template that we apply all the way through life. Let's break that down. Sometimes we have made the most significant relationships in our lives the one that should not have mattered. Again, many of us are putting ourselves in positions where the template for relationships overall have been connected to people who are not even alive anymore, that you wouldn't date if you had a chance to now, that you wouldn't be friend if you got another opportunity, but you've made the hurt that they caused you develop a template for everybody else in your life. It's the crazy dynamic that you allow a person who does not even exist in your now to affect your tomorrow. And we've got to get to the point where we write a new template. It is indicative of the fact that Christianity can't really come to full fruition if you're asking God to give you another chance and let you move forward. But after he forgives you, you hold your emotions hostage and make people who don't even exist in your life, who have gone to sleep, don't even remember that they hurt you, that don't even care about you, that are moved on to other relationships, determine how you're going to live your relationships and manage your emotions now, henceforth, and forevermore. It's a problem. And this is where we get to the concept of transference. It's a real highfalutin word for unconscious displacement. Basically, what transference is putting and displacing emotions, feelings, and attitudes from where they shouldn't be or should have been buried and resurrecting them into today. It's the whole concept of killing something and then doing your best impression of God, resurrecting it, not for power, but for pain. It is the moment that you say, I'm going to hang my emotions. I'm going to hang these wrong people, these wrong circumstances, these hurtful emotions on a cross, and I'm going to bury it. But every time I get to my potential, my Sunday morning, my power, I'm going to pull up the pain and substitute the power for the pain. What does transference do? It does a few things, and I'm out of your way. It's a propitiation of old scenarios, an attempt at resurrecting the past. It's the continual recurrence of old scenarios. Have you ever met anybody that always plays high school over and over again?
Right.
You've grown up, they still talking about what y'all wore. You're talking about Jabos. They talking about, Guess overalls with the one arm off, the one arm on. And we grown people, we wearing suits. We got slim fit slacks, and they still talking about what they did in the 10th grade.
Right.
How frustrating is it to see a grown man in an oversized throwback jersey? This is the dynamic of what we're doing with our emotions and our past. We continually replay old scenarios and resurrect the past when we really should be moving forward to our future and our present. Second thing it does, it smuggles the past on board to the present. This makes you literally a drug smuggler of pain. It is the place that you're going through customs, smuggling in keys, quarter keys of pain, bags and kilos of hurt. You are putting in Cuban cigars in your bag and stuffing them in plastic so that the dogs can't smell them. You're putting yourself in position where you're taking things that could get you locked up, excommunicated, and cast away into a place where it really has no worth. How do you feel taking things that are coming from yesterday that should not matter to you, that you need to get over, into relationships, into circumstances with people that don't even recognize that you're still hurting? And this is the biggest challenge about intimacy. Many of us are smuggling in the drugs of our past, and we've told the people that are in our present, we're okay. So you've not only smuggled your past in, but you've lied to your future. The third thing, it's an attachment to a fabrication, an illusion about others and ourselves. This is the most haunting portion of it. It's a continual lie that you're telling yourself. It's an amazing thing that the mind can be conditioned to do whatever you tell it to do. That's why you see, and no offense to anybody that's listening, you'll see people who are way overweight that should not be wearing certain items, putting them on in sizes that don't fit them and telling themselves that they look good. Why is this important? Because you can condition your mind to believe whatever you want it to believe. And the challenge here is many of us have been lying to ourselves so long that we've dressed ourselves up in the illusion of health, where underneath the skin, we are the most unhealthy, psychotic individuals on the planet. Fourthly, it's a redirection of unresolved energy towards a safer object. What does this mean? We're in our city of refuge with the mate, the relationships, the people that we're supposed to be with. And we are causing them to receive energy that they're not giving off. How do you explain that, Kervance? It's the transference of negative when somebody's trying to give you positive. Have you ever been in a relationship where no matter how hard you try, every time you give that person some love, they give you frustration? Every time you give them hope, they give you doubt. Every time you try to show them a better way, they try to tell you why it won't work. This is the dynamic of what transference does. To move on, you can catch the rest of them on the list. What does transference look like? It looks like this: stronger feelings that fit the circumstance, instant reactions, obsession, unexplainable repulsion or attraction, personalizing other actions, holding on to a relationship when it's not working, similarities in the characteristics of all our partners. This is when you find yourself trying to look at characteristics from people that you shouldn't be with, and you keep attracting yourself to no goods. You keep attracting yourself to hurt because you haven't forgiven yourself and you transfer what you dealt with yesterday into your today. Finally, this is the most important page, and you can read this, and if you got questions, please fill them to us online. Until we grieve our past, we'll continue to act out what we haven't quite cried out. That moved me to no end. Until we grieve our past, we'll continue to act out what we haven't cried out. Let me help you understand something in closing.
Wow.
Every emotion that you have can be misunderstood. You can misunderstand words. You can misunderstand actions. You can misunderstand motives. But the one emotion that you cannot understand are tears. Tears are never misunderstood. Tears have different dynamics and different formulas. Some of tears will clean your eyes when your eyes are contaminated. Some tears will give you a response to joy. But there are tears that have the responses to hurt, grief, and pain. And the problem is, in our relationships, many of us have never shared our tears. Therefore, our past is still causing us to not be able to see. Our past, because we have not cried and grieved, is minimizing our joy. And our past is focusing us to a position where we're always continually, perpetually putting ourselves in the place where we're grieving daily about people who died 20 years ago. It is important that now, to eliminate transference and start living in everything that God has for us, that we grieve our past so that we don't continue to act out our past in our present.
Yeah.
Cry about it. Many of us need to go and write letters right now. Put a stamp on them. Mail them to the cemetery. Some of us need to put stamps and write letters to our exes, to our molesting uncles, our no good dads, people who we had relationships in the past, business partners, friends that we're no longer friends with, and get your emotions out on paper. If you never mail them out, write them out. If the person is no longer alive, go to the cemetery, put it on the grave. But you've got to face your yesterday, your pain, your frustration, bury it, cry over it, clean your eyes, experience your joy, move beyond your grief, and now start living your life like it's golden. Don't find yourself every day being blessed with what God has given you, but you're naked, headed towards your marriage, headed towards your wonderful ceremony. And as soon as you get to your promise, you're finding that you have to start all the way back over again on Groundhog's Day, trying to figure it out, trying to carry it over. When there is a promise, there are people and there are presents available for you if you simply move to your ceremony and move past your pain. This is why intimacy, love, communication, and dealing with yesterday are so important. It is my prayer that this message helps somebody, that it helps you deal with yesterday. Stop carrying it like baggage through the airport, moving yourself to the place where you now get on your flight with just what you need, head to your destination, and get all the blessings that God has for you in your relationship, in your family, in your business, and in your life. Thank you so much.
Man, that was A-list material right there. If you just tuned in, this is
Life like is golden. Life like is golden.
He was talking about the A-list, y'all. Look, this is Couples 412 online, and we just had a great message from Brother Cavance. It is available, everything that he just talked about, on couples412.com under resources. If you haven't logged in, or everything is available except the resources. If you log in, the resources are all there free. Just click on the link transference. Because when you first brought that up, I was like, we're dealing with intimacy. What are we talking about transference? But I was sleepy when she said, she sent the notes and it's talking about transference. And I'm like, say what? I'm trying to get intimate. I'm trying to get my definition, but you can't really get closer until you bury some of those things. And a lot of times, Brother Cavance, other people will try to keep you in that past and that yesterday as well. And their opinions will sometimes, if you allow them, hold you back in a place where you can't move forward. And I often say, whose opinion is better? Your opinion of yourself and what God says about you, or what all those other naysayers and all those other haters or people who don't want to see you move forward? Their opinions don't mean nothing compared to what you think of yourself. But if you allow them to justify just based on their small thinking of your wasness instead of what your future is, then you're going to be on the C list or the D list. Parkers, what you think?
Wow, this was really good, Cavance.
So good.
Because it just really kind of reiterates the point of not allowing your past to determine who you are. And when you said sometimes you'll continue to act out until you cry out, shoot, man, there are times where it's like a good cry, man, it's everything. Just to be able to have a really, really good cry and just get it out and just say, okay, cool, I got that out. All right, now I can go on with my day. But just, holding things in and holding things bogged up is never good for anybody. Whether that is, as you said, the things dealing with family, friends, business partners, or whatever the case may be, being able to deal with those things that have happened in your past and determining that they will not dictate what tomorrow holds for me. I think that's a lesson that everybody can take. Some people's past are a little bit more deeper than others, but everybody has a past, no matter if it's a level 1 or level 90. Whatever it is in your past, it can take over your life and have a really, really huge impact if you allow it to. So I think that's the task, and I'm glad you spoke on that tonight, and just kind of took it there, man, because I think a lot of people are suffering from the stronghold of their past. So, yeah, man, this is really good.
And for me, Kurt Vance, this was great because, you know, you guys know as well, Q and I was dealing with some stuff, and I know my husband is regretfully regret everything in our past that has happened, and probably wish he can wash it away and never happened and don't even exist. So for me, I needed to hear this message so I can move forward and move on. And y'all know I'm a transparent person, so I know y'all be like, don't be speaking about this, but you know, that's just me. And I needed, like I said, I needed to hear this so I can take my steps of moving forward and starting, you know, where we are. And I thank you, Kurt Vance, for the vow renewal that you did for us on August 10th. On that stage, I felt so safe. I felt so like a new beginning. It was a happy place for me to begin a start of something new. And, you know, just forget the past, the hurt. Like I say, for me, like I know Q regret, you know, he hates that it happened, and we're forgetting about it and moving on with our life. And it doesn't even, like, we don't even think about it, or I need to not just think about it, because the mental is really crazy. It'll bring up some stuff in the midnight hour to try to make you remember the bad, but we're going to leave the bad in the past and move forward. So I thank you for this message today. You know, sometimes it's easier said than done, but like I said, that moment with us being on the stage felt like something new, a beginning of just a rebirth for me. Go ahead. You got to say something?
Yeah, I think you all, sometimes you give a message and you really have no idea how it's going to impact people. Mm-hmm. And hearing you all is overwhelming, because as I was listening to the Pecs and to you, it helped me. God is speaking to me about this transference. And one of these things that it just hit me happens when you don't allow your past to die is the same thing that happens when you're having circumstances from your past relationships. If you've ever had a sexual encounter and you didn't use protected sex, and God provided you with grace that you didn't get an STD. It is the same thing that is happening when God allows you to get over your past. If you don't get over it, what you've just said is, God, I'm grateful that you didn't allow me to contract this STD, but I want the STD so I can pass it on to my future. It is the moment where your STD in your pain and your past becomes a subliminal trap to death. What it allows you to do is put yourself in a mindset that you don't want to live for what God has for you, but subliminally you're trapping yourself into dying. You're finding yourself with an STD that you have been able to get around, although you didn't do anything to deserve to get around it. God saw fit to say, for whatever reason, I know you didn't do what you were supposed to do. I know that you should have gotten AIDS. I know you should have gotten syphilis. I know you should have gotten gonorrhea, but I got a bigger plan for you. And I allowed nature's course to be changed. But you say, I know you forgave me, but I did wrong. Can I get my STD? And not only am I not going to help cure it, but I want to pass it on to the person you promised me to have. Good. This is what transference looks like in its realest sense. And why we must get over our yesterday is because of people like Charlinda and Q, because of Kevin and Dana, and so many people who are going to watch us need to recognize that I don't know why he loves me. I don't know why he cares. I don't know why he sacrificed his life. I'm glad he did. And on top of that, I'm going to forgive me. I can't keep holding it when he's forgiven me. What's the purpose of the cross if I'm going to put him back on there after he forgave me?
Good.
What's the purpose of your new mate? What's the purpose of your new business? What's the purpose of your relationship working if you're going to put your mate back on the cross, even though God has given you enough grace to stand? And to see what you all have done, to see what you all have been blessed to do, to stand on that stage and see it through all you've gone through. Sometimes, and I've said it before, your challenges are a testament that have nothing to do with you. You've been put on the planet sometimes just to go through something so that the person who is thinking about committing suicide, who's thinking about giving up, who's thinking about throwing in the towel, they are simply waiting for you to overcome your challenge so that when you do it, they run into you and say, there's no way out for me. And you've got one word that says, God did it for us. And that one word keeps them from going crazy, from killing somebody, going slashing tires. We got to recognize that sometimes God puts us through things not for us, but he trusts us with trouble enough to bless people who need prayers answered. So I'm grateful for what you all have shared. I'm grateful for the message, and I'm grateful for what we're doing in Couples 412, because we will never know who watches these videos. But what we will know is that we put ourselves in positions to be catalysts for somebody's answered prayer.
Amen.
I don't know why he cared. I don't know why he sacrificed my life. Oh, but I'm glad he did. Boy, you making all these references to these old songs, Doc.
Amen. Don't do that to me. You're gonna push me. I don't want to do this. This Couples 412. Don't.
You don't want to get you shouting. They were talking about this at Oasis in the ATL. Pastor Murray was talking about how the world judges your history, but God judges your purpose.
Yep.
So he cast it in the sea of forgetfulness. And you made me think about one of my first pastors in Baltimore. He used to say that we were dead to sin. And so like the body is dead. He said, what we do is we go right back to that sin. It's like climbing inside of a dead corpse.
Yep.
And we put that whole dead body on us. And we keep carrying it around. And it starts to stink. And it starts to fester in our life, and it starts to seep over. And now hearing you, Kavance, it starts to transfer to the one you love, because you still carrying that old dead body, all that old sin on you, instead of just getting off. You remember the Wiz when they came out? Was it the Wiz?
Amen.
When they started peeling out those suits.
Every time you think about going back to your past, think about the Wiz and think about Michael Jackson on that, what looks like a cross.
Right.
And those crows making him sing the song, You Can't Win.
Right.
Until he sung it out loud to himself. He realized how much he had been practicing failure. The moment that Diana Ross told him, you really don't have to do this. He said, man, these crows got me up here. I got to stay up here. He didn't realize that his job was to scare away his past. He had forced himself to be hung by the things that he had the power to move and eradicate.
That's good, Kavance.
You got to get to the point where you stop allowing your past to make you sing You Can't Win. You got to get to the place where you tell yourself, I'm going to ease on down the road.
Right. I almost was like,
make that decision.
A team.
You can win. Hey, yo, I'm your backup tonight, Doc.
Ride with me, man.
Right. He was like, the world keeps moving, but you're standing far behind. It was like, dang. That's
the most powerful moment in that movie, bro.
Yeah.
So it sounds like transference can be healthy and unhealthy. So it's it's unhealthy if you don't recognize it, and it's healthy if you do recognize it and change it. I mean,
And that's
identify.
why,
You got to talk it through with your spouse or your whoever you're in relationship with.
well, the biggest thing is, and that's a great point, and it's in the list. Anything can have two sides to it.
Mhm.
And the challenge of it being negative is when you don't recognize the bad. It's good when you recognize the hurt.
Mhm.
So you can make sure that, first of all, we keep missing the fact that we've got to talk it through with ourselves first. Because much like what Kevin said, if you and Kevin are in a situation and you all are married and Kevin's got a dead person on his back, you thought the person was dead, or more importantly, you didn't even know the person was alive ever. And you keep smelling in your house this stench. And Kevin is saying, every time you ask him about what is that stinking smell? Oh man, you smelling stuff. It's playing in your head.
Mhm.
Imagine the damage that he's doing to the relationship when you smell it. You don't know where it's located.
Mhm.
You don't know it's a dead body. He knows it and he brought it in. And instead of telling you what it is, he's creating a bigger gulf by making you feel like you're going crazy.
Right.
It'd be more beneficial to Kevin before he gets with you to say, I've got an issue. Let me go to the burial ground. Bury it in my heart and in my mind, because it's clearly already buried because I'm at the cemetery. Heal himself and then bring you in.
Mhm.
The problem we make in a lot of relationships is we've gone to the cemetery. They've had the ceremony. If you're Black, you had a wake. So you've had 3 days of ceremony. The body is dead. And then you find some living, breathing, positive dynamic. But because of your own issue, you go back to the graveyard, dig it up, and then bring it to the new possibility.
Mm.
It's unhealthy if we don't deal with it. It's healthy if we move forward, because if he deals with it when you have your situation, because he's dealt with it in his life, he can help you deal with it in yours.
Mhm.
The problem is if he doesn't deal with it and you have one, now y'all gonna have 2 stinking corpses in the house.
That's fine.
Think about the negative health condition that you're creating for any seed, any child, any person that comes in your house.
Right.
That's what transferring your past into your present really looks like in the most figurative state.
Good mugger. That's funky right there. If you just tuned in, you're gonna have to go back to see why we transferred all this stuff. This is Couples 412 Live, where we meet once a month online with couples all around the world, and we hook up and we learn about strategies on how to make our relationship wonderful. Awesome. We're gonna be on the other side of the 50%, making that 50% go to 52, 55, 60, all the way down to 100%. Why not think big? It doesn't have to be 50-50. Marriage can work. You can win at it. You just got to get a couple skills. You got to leave some some things in the graveyard, like the brother said, and move forward into a powerful, productive relationship. We're gonna go final words. I know, Danny, you were saying something to me. You got a quick note that you want to give?
Yes. An announcement on Wednesday, September 6th, first Wednesdays at Oasis Paulding. Pastor Terrence and Lady Johnson will be in town. They're from Higher Dimension Church in Houston, and they wrote a book called The Answer. And I mentioned this before on our online session, but it's for anybody in any stage of a relationship, and provides answers to a lot of the questions that you have while you're in relationship. And one of the suggestions they have about intimacy, they give 3 T's for 3 T's for being honest in a relationship, which leads to intimacy. So that is trust, tone, and timing. So trust is, it's like if there's no trust in a relationship, it's like a cell phone without service, they say. You're just playing games. You have to have trust in a relationship. Tone, What do I say? I say to my kids, our kids, it's not just what you say, it's
How you say it.
How you say?
yep, the tone and timing. You really got to know your spouse. Like I can't bring up an issue he's about to go on a show or anything and say, I want to talk about this and that. You got to know your spouse so you can have proper timing, because that could be disastrous.
And the fourth T is tonight. And that means tonight when we get off this thing, it's going down. It's the 4 T's, okay? Anyway, that's the pet. Final words. Convance, any final words? We missed, tell your wife we said hello. We
will, man. I wanted to not leave without giving one of our best team members, Pastor Stephen Thurston, a shout out.
Yeah.
He had an engagement tonight, and this was initially a session that he had done.
Right.
And he just wanted to do justice to his research, his work, his information. So I never want to overlook and forget Pastor Thurston. More importantly, one of the things that I noticed, and we talked about it, everybody across the country, for the first time in 99 years, we had a total solar eclipse on yesterday. And the interesting thing about it is, it was one of the few times in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and possibly in the last 6 months, that everybody was looking up. It is interesting that something as small as the moon was able to block something as big as the sun. And it was interesting to the fact that this is what made it so impactful, that the moon was close enough to the earth to block the sun that has enough power to cover and give us energy all the way across the country and the globe. Why is that so important? It's important because darkness was upon the face of the whole earth simply because the moon was in the way. It was not that the sun had gone out. It was only because that there was something between the sun and the earth that was causing us to not see what was already shining. And in our lives, it is important that many of us have missed that the light and the sun of our relationships have not gone out. The sun of God's grace in our lives has not gone out. The problem is we have things in between us and him, us and our mate, us and our joy, that is blocking everything that God has for us. And it is my goal, it is my hope that today you allow a short solar eclipse of your joy, a short solar eclipse of your future. What I like about solar eclipses is they only last for a small time. And many of us have taken a small time situation and made it a lifetime. Turn your circumstances and your blockages into small steps, small glimpses of time, so that the sun of God's grace, the sun of your relationships, the sun of your intimacy, and the sun of your future can shine on your planet, your globe, your oxygen, your carbon dioxide of life and purpose. I wish you the best. I pray that Couples 412 changes your life, impacts your growth, and allows God's light to shine on your marriage.
Amen. What can we say after that? Parker's anything?
Y'all put us in a bad. We should have went before him.
I forgot. I mean, he gives a sermon every 1 minute. I can't keep up with the notes.
It's funny you said about the eclipse, because this was my picture for the eclipse.
Nice.
So
can you send that to me, please?
Yes, I can.
Put
So
it on the group text.
okay, I sure will. And I just thank you guys for this, doing the research. And sometimes I needed this tonight. So y'all delivered to me. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you. You don't like it?
Mm-hmm. I like it.
He slammed my phone down.
No.
The kingmaker, he over here, he treat me like he treating you. Yes.
He treat me bad, so I hope he treat you like that.
He's not treating me bad.
But no, you just gave our words.
Yeah, so y'all don't understand how I really needed this. I'll just say thank you.
You're welcome. We all needed it. If you just tuned in, or if you tuned in and been with us all night, Thank you for joining Couples 412, where we connect with cool, powerful, positive couples all over the world. If you're in the Atlanta area, join us second Tuesday of every month. Oasis Atlanta. If you forget all of this that I'm saying, go to couples412.com. All the information is there. We'd love to meet you. We love to connect with you. Love to hang out, party, laugh, all the good things that we do at Couples 412 Fellowship, and grow and just get stronger and say, look, this is the most powerful, positive place that we need to be to work on our relationship. We're going to put that energy. We're not going to let that blockage out. We're going to, give it a little boom, power. I don't know why I was thinking about LeBron going to LA right there, but anyway.
Kevin, we need to, like everyone that's listening, if you guys can join us at the first Tuesday, please bring another couple with you. I've heard some couples, they'll come to me and say, I wanted to bring my friend and I should have brought her because, this topic she really needed. But be intentional. Go drag them there. Bring them because they come up. Yeah, when your friend need a word and need to hear something. And I've told some couples when they say, well, she may come, he may not come, or he may come, she bring that person. They go back and share that pillow talk. Definitely.
And fellas, I know y'all don't want to come, but just come, because you're going to be blessed. Because when fellas weren't coming to none of this, we weren't even suggesting coming unless we were really in the doghouse. But fellas, just bring it. Just bring it on.
Yeah, don't wait to get in the doghouse.
And you're going to be blessed.
Yes.
You're going to be blessed by some powerful men who love God and love their family and their wives. Well, that's all of our time. We try to be a respecter of your time. Hopefully to see you on the next time that we gather.
September 12th.
September 12th. That's football season, fellas. It's not a Monday night. That's why we do it on Tuesdays. If you didn't know, that's why Couples 412 is not on Monday. So anyway,
So,
just in case. Anyway, God bless everybody. And until next time, good night, everybody.
Good night.